Hi, Reamer fan here. Aesthetic education. So, I like it because it is changeable and flexible. So, aesthetic education strives to be both convincing, philosophically, and useful across the entire spectrum of applications to the teaching and learning of music. It is applicable to all children in schools. It is useful and valid in the music curriculum. Any single aspect of the music program, a performing group, general music class, any of these music classes, aesthetic education attempts to nurture characteristic interactions with music. And these can be achieved in any and all of a total music curriculum. Interactions with music of any sort at any age or competence level should be dominated by, or at least inclusive of, an aspect of experience called musical. And this is when you set music apart and recognize its domain as an important dimension of the learning and the interactions. Now, aesthetic education in music attempts to enhance learning related to the following propositions. 1, musical sound. 2, creating musical meaning and partaking of them, requiring the use of your mind, body, and feeling. 3, musical meanings incorporate within them a great variety of universal, cultural, individual meanings, and those are transformed by musical sounds. 4, gaining its special meaning requires direct experience with musical sounds, deepened and expanded by skills, knowledge, understandings, attitudes, and sensitivities education can cultivate. Now, this whole book of Reamer untangles all of this information, and there are several more characteristics as to why aesthetic education may be identified. But I just want you to know, I am Team Reamer. Hello, I am from Team Elliot, and I'm going to tell you what praxial philosophy of education, what it means. So, praxial comes from the word praxis, as Aristotle used the word in his Poetics. Praxis connotates action that is embedded in and responsive to a specific context or effort. Now, Eliot wrote a book called Music Matters, and this praxial philosophy, because this one word label captures a key idea of this philosophy, that a full understanding of the nature and significance of music involves more than an understanding of pieces or works of music. I argue that music involves processes and products, actions and outcomes intertwined. Praxial is meant to convey the idea that music pivots on particular kinds of human doing and making that are purposeful, contextual, and socially embedded. By calling Music Matters a praxial philosophy, Eliot wants to highlight the importance of conceiving music as a particular form of action that is purposeful and situated, and therefore revealing of one's selfhood and one's relationship with others in a community. His philosophy emphasizes that music ought to be understood in relation to the meaning and values evidenced in actual music making, listening, and musical outcomes in specific cultural contexts. I am Team Elliot. Team Reamer! So we're going to talk about emotion. Now, Reamer believes that music is a direct presentation of the feelingful dimension of experience. Now, that means that we get feelings directly from the music. It is a way that we verbalize emotion, or, the emotion is embedded in that music. So, these feelings are nonverbal, These emotions might be, just how you're feeling, what you're feeling. These are social experiences. Now, some aspects of music are universal, therefore you can understand music of virtually any culture without knowing the culture. These things give us the power to engage knowing through feeling. Way to go, Reamer. Yeah, Team Reamer. Team Elliot here to talk about emotion. Do not agree with Reamer. Now, music may trigger some emotions. Some memories of an emotional situation. But it doesn't make people actually feel emotions. Now, expressional music intends to convey emotions. The flow of the music could create enjoyment and happiness. There are no universal feelings, only individual emotions that are personal and, specific to a person, their context. The act of musicking elicits feelings and emotions specific to the musicer. So, no inherent emotion in music. Each culture will bring its own meaning. That's what Team Elliot has to say about emotion. Don't agree with you, Team Reamer. Not one bit. Team Reamer here. So, I am going to talk about what Reamer believes in knowing, the role of knowing within knowing how. So, this is what he believes for his aspects of musical knowledge. And musical knowledge deals with musicianship, listenership, focus on formal elements. Now, music knowledge is knowing about, knowing how, knowing why, knowing within. Now, these lead to aesthetic awareness and fulfillment. Very important. The artist is an artist only through their act. Team Reamer, all the way. Team Elliot is here again to tell you why I believe Elliot has the better aspects of musical knowledge. Now, his is procedural and includes both musicking and listening. Music knowledge is a 5 procedural: formal, informal, impressionistic, and supervisory. Now, procedural knowledge, or his knowledge how, is by far the most important of the 5 categories he distinguishes. Musicianship and listenership are not a matter of verbal knowledge. Rather, they are to be characterized by procedural knowledge, or knowing how to make music musically and to listen musically. So that is why he believes that procedural knowledge is the most important of his characteristics of music knowledge. Now, his characteristics, he believes, leads to self-knowledge, self-growth, and enjoyment. Who doesn't want to enjoy music? Team Elliot. I think we're right. Team Reamer again. So, the thing I like is that Reamer thinks, he kind of leans towards the thought that music should be enjoyed for music itself. When we're listening or playing or thinking about music, all of those things are equally important. Now, should these things be taught as a unified whole? Think of like a music appreciation class. those can be fun. Now, let's see what Team Elliot thinks about this. Team Elliot here. Now, I believe that music is all about musicianship. You know, the act of making the music, it's different from knowing about music. Elliot, you know, he believes in the order to listen to music is effective, but you have to experience making it. Team Elliot. Team in between. So, you know, for me, I appreciate music, but I also like to perform music. So I feel like they both have some good concepts, and they do agree on some things as well that I'm glad they both agree that are important. Like, hold on a second. So as I was saying, there's some things they do agree on, like music education for all children, thankfully, because I definitely agree with that. That there's lots of ways to make music: performing, improvising, composing, arranging, moving, conducting, and listening. Multicultural music is important, which it is. All of these things are important. There are definitely other things that they agree on, that listening embedded in cultural practices, several ways of knowing music, and it's important. You know, there's things that I like from both of these philosophies. It's interesting to learn what they talk about, and for me, I like to take information from a lot of different people. I've always been that way, and I want to continue to learn and grow as a teacher, and just be the best music educator that I possibly can be, because I think that's important, and I feel lucky to teach the kids that I teach.